the same beast but a different animal? That's Ovi right there.
What are you talking about, Kobe Bryant? It's probably the sickest video.
It's one of the best videos. We gotta do a remake of that. Of some sort. Yeah, we should. That'd be smart. But yeah, even speaking on the location, I know when we first started, one thing that honestly still kind of, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't say hurt, but is one thing that we're trying to get past, is that we are, like Arvind said, we're not a storefront, so we're not on a busy street or anything like that. We're inside of our rec center. So like our biggest blessing to get us going is like one of our biggest hurdles to get over too, ironically speaking. But I will say it took us up until now. So like we're a year and a half into this thing. We're like kids. Like a lot of people that don't come to the Summit Center are coming here just to shop at our store. But that took a while for that to happen.
For the longest time, people in this plaza didn't know we were here.
Yeah.
How do you guys get that? Because that's, like, as you guys said, like, you really have to pull people from outside of the Summit Center to come through the doors. Was that outreach online? Was that just flyering? Like, what was that?
I don't think it was more flyering, because it's like not everybody's online, right? And demos getting out there. But mostly for the like this plaza right here, it's probably flyering, like dropping cards off. Every time we have a sale, we're here. Now most of these people are in here know where he sells smoothies and stuff. Because even some of our produce for smoothies we get from Sun Farms here too. So we have a good relation with them. And the KT's market, they know we sell smoothies. We give them business, they give us business. It goes like that. And the Barber Lounge as well, they come in all the time.
That's a good point, yeah.
You always got to work with people within the community, right? You don't want to come in where none of us live in Abbotsford, but we feel like it's our second home now. So it's like, how do you become a profitable business plus give back to the community? You got to outreach, work with the businesses around you, right? You don't want to bring in guys from outside of Abbotsford and think, oh, we're helping the community, we'll get business. You can't.
You got to learn the community first type thing. You can't just come there to own the community.
Because the main thing, like Arvind mentioned, is that we're not a national brand. Like we didn't go and get a franchise thing. We decided to do it ourselves, which some pros, but there's a lot of cons when you first start. A lot of first-year businesses forget about supplement businesses, which fail really quick. But just any business in general, they don't profit, or they fail within their first year. Especially if you look at the numbers post-COVID, right? Of where the brick and mortar style type of businesses and online businesses, where that's kind of headed. So, like Jasmine Arvind said, like working with the community was huge, man. Like like going on IG and boosting posts, like that's one thing, but you got to do everything so consistently and when you have momentum, you got to keep going. Like whether we're sponsoring local basketball tournaments or hockey tournaments or whatever, like you got to get in there so people know. Because ultimately, if you have a business in the community, like it's gonna live and die based on the community you serve. Like if they get behind you, you're good. But if they don't, then you're fucked.
Yeah. And what have you guys found that's been the biggest, where people have been the biggest receiver of? Is it discounts? Is it the information you guys provide? Is it just that you guys genuinely care about the employees? I know a lot of big businesses, it's your employee number 700, or right? It's that relationship building. Yeah.
Just that customer service, right? You come into the shop, we don't want you to feel like a deer in the headlights. You come into a supplements shop. When we were younger, same thing. You walked in, you were scared as shit. Like, what am I gonna ask? Especially when the guy's towering over you and he's bigger than you. You're like, hey man, can I get some pre-workout, please? You're like, your voice is shaking. 100%. Like you understand what you went through when you go to a supplement shop. So we want to change the dynamic of people coming in and thinking you go there just because you lift heavy weights or this or that. We're offering you a healthy lifestyle. We're not trying to get people jacked only, or we're only trying to do a certain thing. We want to actually help people in their day-to-day lives. Mm-hmm. So that's making a difference. And then Karn and Jazz actually going out, doing demos, connecting with people from the community one-on-one has helped big time as well. I know we made that change recently, but those demos have brought in a lot of traction.
And welcome back to another episode of the House Talks podcast. Today we have a very, very special guest. It is the third owner. You haven't seen him yet. The third owner of the Supplement House, Arvind Grewal.
Mr. Shy Guy made it.
Thank you for having me.
When it comes to you, Arvind, you own a bunch of different businesses, a group that owns a bunch of different businesses. Is there anything that, in particular, that you use on all those businesses, or is it kind of each one has a unique approach? Or sorry, can you actually tell us a little bit about what types of businesses you own and how you guys got to acquire all those?
Yeah, so we own within the building alone, we got the supplement shop, we got Bolt Fitness, and then we got the rinks. They've all had their own approach. You can't take the same approach to either of them. The biggest thing is just giving back to the community, trying to help out as much as you can, but understanding your demographic, right? You can always try and say, well, I got experience, so I'll be great at this just because I have a business. It's not the truth. I've seen my parents open up 10, 15 businesses that you realize after a certain bit, you're like, all right, this isn't what you thought it would be, so you just have to cut your losses and move on, right? But our main focus is development and construction. That's where my dad started. That's where we got, right? So that's our main focus, and that's why I'm always busy with that side of things. But in terms of just interacting with people and getting out there and having to put yourself in positions where you're not comfortable is the biggest help in realizing what it takes to actually grow as a person first and then as a business second, right? So if you're not growing as a person, you're never going to grow as a business. That's a cold hard truth of it.
And did you have to do that by just kind of throwing yourself into the fire? Did you have to surround yourself with good people, or what kind of things? Because a lot of people get scared, and it's a lot of scary situations for sure, but the difference between success and not success is following through on those scary things.
Like, how did your dad influence you doing all that too?
I got a lot of help from him, luckily, that whenever there was an issue, I could ask him and he'd help me out. But for the most part, he just told me to figure it the fuck out. So yeah, he was like, you know what? I want to retire. He's like, I'm throwing you to the wolves. He's like, yeah, he's like, you either fight and you make it out alive, otherwise you can figure out what day job you want to get after this, right? Yeah, even when I was younger, I think I got my real estate license 6 months before I could even get licensed. I was 18 years old, so got that. Same thing, he was like, figure it out. He's like, you want to do this, you figure it out on your own. So got licensed, slowly started with that. And then we had a real estate brokerage as well. I think I was 23 and he was like, all yours, figure it out. Yeah, within 2 years, I think, we sold it after I took over. Sold it for big profits, and he was happy with it, and that's where I pretty much got my start. He started trusting me more, and it's just you grow as a person, right? 23 is young. I still feel like I'm learning every day, and I'm 30 now.
Do you have anything coming up here in the next, let's say, decade, by the time you're 40, that you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
The world, man. You accomplish the world, right? That's everyone's goal. You got to aim high. If I say I'm happy with what I have, it's just going to go to shits eventually. But if you have high aspirations, you'll always aim for the moon. You'll still land in the stars, right? Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Cliche after cliche over here.
But it's true, right? Like, shit's true for a reason, right?
Cliches work. It's facts. Cliches only became cliches because there's enough people that were doing the damn thing and have done it. That's why it's cliche. Otherwise, if it was never said before, no one was really doing it, then it wouldn't have been, right? It would have been like, oh, wow, that's so sick. Brand new thing that just came out. But
exactly. And that's the thing, right? Like, everyone sees me now and they're like, oh, you have this, you have that. But I've also seen the lowest times of poverty too. Like, there was times where our electrical bill got cut off, didn't have enough money to buy drive-through from A&W. So I've seen that side of things. Like, my parents came from nothing. We grew with them. They supported us throughout our lives, so we supported them as much as we could as kids. But you see that, and it gives you a different look on what it means to actually be successful. It's not about the money you have. It's about how you treat people is how you're going to get treated back. And it's about just being a good person at the end of the day, regardless of where you sit in societal hierarchy, so to speak, right? And I think all three of us have that same mindset. Doesn't matter how successful we get, we're still boys at the end of the day. We all have that respect for each other. We have that love for each other. And I think that's the biggest thing we got from this partnership. It wasn't ever treated as, okay, one person's bigger than the other. It's the three of us are equals. Let's see how we can blow this shit up.
And if it ever gets in a friendship, we're dropping it right now.
I was legit just about to say, do you guys remember the first thing that we ever discussed before about like how much money we think we can make or how we can do this or anything? The very first thing, and Jazz already said it, but Jazzy, you want to say it again?
If it ever comes in a friendship, we're dropping this thing the next day.
Yeah. Because like we already had careers before this, and like if we go back to those, we'll be fine, man. Like we'll be good. But this is it's just fun building it, man. Especially like when it's hard to get. Let's just say if we went and got like a partner through someone we know or something, and then like you're passionate about it and they're not passionate about it, they don't really give a shit. Like that's like a disease, man. It spreads onto you. Then all of a sudden you don't start caring, and then you have an unsuccessful business, right? One thing. That I'd love to honestly just learned this too about partnerships. Like if you're starting a business, you're gonna get in with like whether it's like your partner you're married to or business partners especially, like it's never equal, man. It's never equal, and it never will be. The moment you accept that, you'll be good. Like you won't really have that much resentment for your the partner you're working with or whatever, because there's gonna be times where you're gonna need them to pick you up, right? If you're struggling or if you have real life shit happen, because the part about running a business is like how you balance it with like real life situations, because real life situations are always gonna come up, right? So then that's when the other person slides in and they're going balls to the wall for you. Right, like they're going at 100% capacity for you, while you have to sit that week out for whatever it may be. So you got to know that, because if you start counting, I did this, and you did this.
Yeah, because people see that shit differently too. Like if you're like, oh, I opened up the store every single day, and that person's really not a morning person, like that's a big deal to them. Where if you're up at 5 a.m. and they say go open the store at 9, then it's like,
I fucking hate mornings.
Oh, dude, I fucking hate mornings
do
too.
not fucking talk to me the first 3 hours I'm awake.
Closing shifts only for Jazz, eh?
And before we started today, I was complaining about like being off routine, and Arvind's telling me to chill out. Like it's all good. Like it's fine. It's just one day. Whereas, and that's why I like being in the morning and like getting it going that way. And then Jazz will come in the afternoon or whatever, and then we're good. It just works. Like why would you fucking try to fix something that isn't broke?
And that's the importance of like teamwork and working as a group. Like, do you guys think that as a single individual you could have accomplished what you guys have
No
been
chance.
at today?
No chance. We all have expertise in different areas, right? Like Karn's customer service is second to none. His knowledge is second to none. Jazz is unreal at smoothies. Like every
Fat bitch energy.
every single one of those. Yeah, our marketing, our smoothies, his creative mind is genius, right? So he takes care of that. On my end, I take care of all the math, all the numbers, and all the banking side of things, because Karn's not really good with a calculator.
I can't save shit from my life depends on it.
Yeah, I'm not the best at that, but like I said, we figured that out real quick. What each of us were good at.
Yeah, and that helps big time.
Yeah, like
And
any career. Yeah.
The biggest thing is we'd run through a wall for each other, right? So I think we have.
How big the wall is, man. I'm getting old, man. Shit hurts quick, man.
I think we may have back in the day once or twice, but
That's because we were degenerates back in the day. We still are, but now we're just like functioning degenerates.
we've toned it down quite a bit. I remember Karn one time, he just looks at me and Jazz, he's like, I'm not even gonna yell at you guys. I'm not yelling at you guys. You do what you want. And me and Jazz look at each other, we're like,
Fuck you, man. Yell at me.
please just yell at us, make us feel better about ourselves, right?
One of the things you mentioned was you were getting your real estate license at 18. Now, I don't know this. Did you go to post-secondary at all?
I did. I switched majors every year.
What's your thoughts on post-secondary?
I hated it. I think it's dependent on what career you want to get into, but I feel like the education system's set to make certain minds fail and to look bad in post-secondary. But if you have a passion for it, if you want to become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, obviously that's something you have to go through. But if you're saying you want to get into business, the best way to do that is actually going out there, getting a hustle done, like do something with your life other than just read a book about organizational behavior. Like you're gonna learn what an organizational behavior is when you're in the organization itself, right? Like
I read this chapter 4, page 14.
They're pulling up studies from like the previous generation. Like it's gonna work with like who you're working with now.
The 4 P's of marketing, like it's common sense. Like you have to have product, price, promotion, place, right?
Could you imagine like your income? What all came down to like yearly tests, like all this bullshit that you learn in university. Every business got a test at the end of the year, and depending on how much you scored on it, you'd make that income. Then it would make sense to go to university and do all that stuff. But honestly, nothing beats application.
But yeah, like outside of like being a doctor or trying to be a lawyer, where like you need to go to school, you need to get certain certifications. like I found myself, especially like the best way to learn business is work in a business. If you're learning from a professor who has never owned a business before, I don't understand how people have the perception that they're getting any benefit. Was there any jobs that you worked like before you were in the brokerage that like really set you up for, oh shit, like this is life, like this is how we got to operate in business and get going?
Yeah, so pretty much when I was probably starting at 10, I would have hockey practices on weekends. My dad would be like, all right, 6 a.m. practice. After that, we're going to the construction site. And my dad did single family homes for about 10 years. I think he built about 100 over that time. And it was just every weekend after practice, going to the site, picking up lumber, dropping it off. My pay was 1 Egg McMuffin, a hash brown, and some strawberry Fruitopia. I used to down that. I felt like the man after that, right? You're 10, 12 years old. Yeah, I earned this, right? And then after that, I actually worked at our brokerage, a real estate brokerage, for 2 summers. And that was pretty much what opened my eye to, okay, what goes on in a business? How do managers keep a hold on all the employees, make sure everyone's doing good? And real estate's a weird field where everyone's self-employed and you have your conveyancers and your front desk. But at the end of the day, the managing broker is still handling a bunch of self-employed people, right? So what a harder way to learn than trying to fix people's problems who are actually self-employed. So watching him do that and on a day-to-day basis, dealing with people who didn't have to listen to him, but he still got them to listen because of the knowledge he had and the experience he had, it opens your eyes. That manager's name was Don Fultz. I knew him from when I was about 10. I still keep regular touch with him. Probably one of the best guys I learned from. Yeah, Don. Yeah, Jazz worked with Don as well for a little bit.
Just all preparation, because I know, especially like Karan and I, with our success with customer service, it's all been education, preparation for the product we're selling, the customer that's coming in, and all of that. So even at, like you were saying, when you were working there, like 18, 23 or whatever it was, like, even though you were probably one of the younger guys in the room, was it that preparation and the education, what you were talking about, that made you so confident to operate? Or
honestly, I was never confident. You'd never have confidence when you're in business, when it goes to venturing into new avenues, whether that's just within real estate, whether that's in life, right? You're always nervous, but you always have that confidence that, you know what, what's the worst that can happen? If I fail today, I'll fail again tomorrow, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to let myself drop down and just be like, oh, life sucks, I keep failing. You just got to go get the next thing, right?
yeah, failure is not debilitating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's where I did have confidence, where I knew that regardless of what I did, at the end of the day, I'm going to succeed in something. And just having that, you just slowly start to build confidence over time. And now you go into a room and you're not the youngest guy there always. So it makes a difference. But then you see someone who is the youngest guy or someone's new to the field and you see how much they lack confidence. I saw that with Jazz firsthand when he got his license. He was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing right now. I got my license, but what the fuck do I do, right? And Jazz is just like, I was like, honestly, just talk to everyone in the office, start working with them, just get leads based off of that. Even if you don't, you're still connecting with people and you'll learn something at the end of the day, right?
You just gotta fake it till you make it, to be honest, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody's got to like sell their first house or like mess up their first sale or something like first have to start so much in business that, as we talked before, like if analysis by paralysis, if you're just thinking about all the things that are going to go poorly, like they're probably going to happen and you're not going to do anything.
And that's such a high emotion type of business. Not like more so the realtors or the builders or developers, but more so the end consumer, the clients, because they're making the biggest decision arguably in their life, right? The biggest financial decision. So there's a lot of emotions that go behind that. And the thing is, like, you're the first point of contact for them when like anything happens, good,
Really,
bad,
the trust is the most important part.
It is, yeah.
Say, even if you don't know, say you know and figure the fuck out. I'll find it right away.
100%. That ties into the supplement shop too, right? 100%. It might not be the biggest decision they're making in their life. It may not cost them a lot, but if you're a student, you're making what? Working part-time, $500, $600 a month.
Yeah.
you're still watching where you spend that money, right? So for people to have trust in us, to know what we're talking about, I think that makes a world of a difference. You actually care, right? You don't want to just recommend something and be like, hey, I made a sale today. You actually listen to them. You say, okay, well, I think this is going to help you the most. And then they come back in and they're like, yo, I feel stronger. I gained this much mass. And you're looking at it and you're like, we're actually making a difference, right?
We had one customer come in. He was in India. He's pretty jacked in India. Came here, was working electrical, lost like so much weight. He was like skinny then. Oh yeah. We got him on like weight gainers, watched his diet, but him greens, and literally 3 months later, this guy's gained like 20 pounds. Fucking looks good right now. Just changing small things in your diet, right? Because like how we're saying, if you're a student making $500 like a month or even bi-weekly, you're spending like over like 25% on the supplements. Yeah. That shit better work for you, man.
So sure, like we honestly don't, like people are usually get quite surprised when we tell them it's like, listen, you don't need to pick up 5 things today to get yourself going. Start off with this and this, and then come back and we can slowly add to it. And that's how you build the trust. Like our customer retention is, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's very, very high for that reason.
One thing that I think people struggle with sometimes, and especially in owning multiple businesses, is a line of morality. And like you guys, customer focused, obviously with the supplement store, is there a set of like moral lines that are a no-go, a non-starter for you, where you're like, hey, this doesn't feel right, I'm not going to do this? Or if you faced a situation where you're like, this might seem good on paper, this might sound good, but you're like, I'm not feeling this doesn't feel right. Could be the person you're working with, could be the product, whatever it may be.
Yeah, for sure. That's everyday life, right? Business ethics is a way of living, but business ethics still has some immoral practices within it. So you look at that. I come from a family that's super religious, always praying, always relying on, okay, you know what? You want something in life, you pray for it, you ask for it, do good for others, and good will come to you, right? So for me, that's been huge for me, where it's like, okay, in my faith itself, do I really want to be someone who takes advantage of another person? It's always, you do good, good's going to happen to you. And even if a good doesn't happen to you, you at least feel good that you didn't screw someone over, you didn't take someone's money, you didn't put someone in a shittier place than they were before talking to you, right? And I think you do that, it not only helps you in business, it helps you in life. You're not carrying that load of, okay, yeah, I did this, I became successful, I made some money, but at what cost? The more you chip away at your morality, the more of a person you become who doesn't care about those ethics. And the more you go down that rabbit hole, the worse off you are when it comes to dealing with other people, dealing with other businesses. No one wants to work with you, right? There's lots of people that I've met who aren't in good spots right now because of the shit they've done. And you look at that and you're like, I could have told you from day one what you were doing was going to result in that end, right? So do you really want to be that guy? I don't. I personally don't. I know Jazz and Karn don't either. We look at each other and we're always like, this is what it is. This is honest truth. Whether for a lot of people, it's, do I really want to hurt this person by doing this? Do I want to tell them the truth? It comes down to, you're just trying to stroke your own ego by lying. So you always try, and those white lies where you're like, oh, it's not hurting anyone, but slowly that builds up. And then you get into a place where your morals are being challenged on a daily basis, right? Mm-hmm. Today I'm saying it to just one of my buddies, oh, I'm just not feeling good, that's why I'm not coming to the gym. Tomorrow it turns into something a bit bigger. Slowly you're going to lose that moral compass of doing good, right? You're just like, what?
Don't usually break after one big thing. It's like lots of little things that compound, right?
Exactly.
And do you credit that perspective in life to your upbringing, your parents teaching you how to do things properly?
For sure. My parents have always said, they said, straightforward, you do something like that, we're going to be the first people you deal with. So it was always, okay, do I really want to ruin their reputation that they took this long to build, coming from nothing, right? All our parents came from India. They built their lives. They all own their own homes, which is the Canadian dream, right? You come here as an immigrant, or anyone, essentially. It's hard for everyone to own a home, but to actually come here, put in that work 3-4 jobs at a time and make their way up, and now you're gonna put them in a position where you're disrespecting their name that they took 20-30 years to make after leaving their families behind, right? So I don't want to do that.
There's a crazy stat out there too. Like usually second generation business owners of how they really screw it up. Like I forget what the percent was now, but it was a staggering amount to me when I read it. Because like what happens is they get given the money, they get given the titles and stuff like that, but they never knew how to run it, and then they just fuck it all up.
Exactly. So it's always just putting yourself in tough situations. Like for me, I didn't get these jobs because I had to work against someone. I had to work against myself. But at the end of the day, I don't want to give myself the easy out of just being like, you know what, this is easy, I'll get by with it. If you start doing that, you're just making yourself comfortable.
And the thing is too, man, like a lot of people, it's easy to judge from the outside looking in, but like if you get, you are blessed that, your dad or your mom or someone created a business, and now the moment you're born, they're probably looking at you like, oh yeah, they'll take it over. Right? I know for a lot of people, it might just be like, okay, what are you complaining about, dude? Like chill out, like, you're good, you have money, you have this or that. But honestly, there's the other side of that coin too, where it's like the pressures and the things like that. Like when you're playing a bigger game, you have a lot more to lose. Yeah, either it's given to you or you've ultimately, like, you'll know deep down if you've earned it, man. And that comes down to, are you like, have you now doubled your business or has it gone to shit, right?
You don't want to be the next problem your business faces, right? Yeah. That's the biggest issue.
You don't. And even us, man, coming here and talking about it, like, like we're not, like, it's very easy to be like, oh, like, yo, look at these guys. They started a supplement shop and now they think they know it all. I could easily see that being a thing. Yeah, honestly, like, but that's the thing. We're not coming out here and like giving you guys like ideas of what you should implement in your business, things like that. Because honestly, we're figuring it out too.
Hustle.
Yeah.
Get to work.
Like right now, it's
50 push-ups right now.
Yeah, it's more so about mindset. And we just share with like what works for us. Because honestly, what did we apply? By listening to other people, and like other people told us to do this, whether it's a podcast or like a friend or like a mentor, we applied it and it's working. And then honestly, the more we start leveling up, then we might be able to get into more detail of how we kind of blew it up. But right now we do have some things where like, yeah, this is working, we can share it. But there'll be more of that, right? Like maybe we can talk numbers and stuff like that. But we're only ever gonna give that out the moment we've actually proven it to ourselves. Because otherwise, yeah, it's like, we don't think we're hot shit, but maybe one day we'll be.
Yeah. You look at our parents, they learned constantly, and they're all pushing, 60? And they're always learning constantly. They're like, oh, look at what I learned today. Yeah. Like my dad's learning shit on his phone every day, and he probably knows more hacks on his iPhone than I do. Yeah. And like 5 years ago, he was like coming to me like, how do I scan a paper on this? Like, how do I turn on the Wi-Fi? And it's like,
my mom can work TikTok inside and out, but she still can't send an email. It's like, bro, what?
And one of the things, though, it might hit people the wrong way, is you just have to get off your ass and work. Yeah. Whether you like it or not. Yeah, it may come off as, oh, well, you've gotten a business that was handed down. Yeah, I did, but if you don't, what's your other option, right? Yeah. Get up, work your ass off, and try and make something of yourself. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just sitting on your ass, just mad that someone else got something handed to them, but in reality, you're just not working hard for yourself. Being mad at...
You never should compare yourself to others.
Exactly.
You never should, man.
I constantly... You have mentors, but I never compare myself to someone, because I have my own weak spots, other people have their own, and you just have to live with that, work on it, and just move forward, right?
Because like, would you hate on someone like if they were down? You know what I mean? Like, but if someone didn't come from like a good household, like they don't have a lot of money, like, are you that piece of shit that's gonna hate on them and like make fun of them for that? No, you're not. So like, it works both ways, man. Like if you are in a good position, but it'll come, man. When you're doing good, people are gonna say things, and that's all right. That's okay. Yeah. Right? It's just how you learn to get past it.
So education thing, obviously, like probably the biggest thing in business, because business is always evolving. Is there anything, if you ran into like a young, like 18-year-old kid, he's like, I know literally nothing about business, what's a good area to start in?
Honestly, at first year university, you have to take all those classes for business anyway, so you have a pretty broad understanding of the concepts that people use, but at the end of the day, you just have to work. Yeah. You have to get in there, learn by making your own mistakes. Because if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying to grow, right? The biggest help I see is, though, you start reading books that actually work on the areas you're trying to focus on, not just, okay, I'm going to read a self-help book, it'll change my life. It's, okay, are you reading it? Are you implementing that into your life? Like me and Karn were talking about the Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. A lot of people will read it and be like, oh, I know the ins and outs of how to work people. I'll influence people. I'll be able to control what other people do with me. You're not trying to control other people. You're trying to control yourself at the end of the day. And that's what it comes down to. It's just being able to control your impulses, control your decision making, so you're not making those mistakes as often as you are. But if you make a mistake, it's life. We all make mistakes. I just went through a divorce. Do I call it a mistake, or do I call it something I grew from, right? I'm a different person than I was 2 years ago because of those experiences, but probably one of the best things that happened to me is what I learned from all that. And Jazz saw me at my lowest at that time, so he knows who I am today and who I was at that point in time. I was probably the least confident person you could have ever met, regardless of how you saw me. If you truly, Jazz knows me inside out from those times.
This guy, usually we go to him for advice, come to me for advice. Like, bro, what?
It was
You want a drink, bro?
It was a weird phase. Like even for me, I remember that. Like Arvind wasn't himself for like at least like a solid year, I would say.
Happy to see it's back.
Yeah, I'm on the podcast, so this is probably the most comfortable I've been in front of a camera.
I was gonna say, man, even when we first started the shop, oh my god, this guy in front of people was really funny. Actually, Jazzy, you too a little bit.
Yeah.
Both of these guys, but now, dude.
I still have my moments where I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't want to talk to you right now, but you get through it. You're like, all right, I'll open this business. It's on me now, right?
That's crazy though, right? Like how skill sets like can apply. Like if you're working at a retail store, can like now apply to like sitting down with maybe like $1 million client that you're trying to close a deal on or something like that. But just applying the same things, like you're talking about the Carnegie book that we both read. Just those type of things, right? It's just the application.
And it's not trying to manipulate people. It's trying to actually make a difference in their life. And I think that's the biggest takeaway you can take from a book like that. You're not always trying to manipulate someone to do shit your way. It's how can I make a difference in that person's life, but how can I also influence that person to make those decisions that will help them grow, help them prosper, right? Mm-hmm. And I think even when it comes to negotiations, whether it's with real estate or anything else, I think dealing with customers in a shop like ours downstairs, it's a game changer. You start actually realizing that, okay, if people are using these tactics to bargain with you on something that's, say, $50, it's going to be to an even higher extent when it's $1 million, $2 million. So it's like you slowly take those lessons and you're like, okay, how can I grow from this? How can I put this into work in other areas of my life, which is huge, right?
Do you find like in negotiations, regardless of what the price tag is, are you trying to find an area where you guys are both going to win? Is that like an importance to you, or is it kind of case by case? Case
by case. When it comes to like properties and stuff like that, both sides are going to win at the end of the day, unless you're closing on a property that was foreclosed or something, where you don't really have a choice other than putting in an offer that you think is fair. Then that third party's getting screwed anyways, but that's not your fault. Otherwise, if you're trying to buy something that's $5-6 million, you're still going to try and look for the win for yourself, right? You don't want to fork over more dollars than you have to. But end of the day, when it comes down to it, we buy properties, we develop them, and then we sell them forward. My rule's always been, if I'm eating and I'm selling that property to someone else, I want to make sure that person gets a piece of the pie too. I can't just have it all for myself, because at the end of the day, if I do that 5 or 6 times, everyone's going to be like, okay, I don't want to work with this guy. This guy he's hoarding all of it for himself, right? We got nothing to show for it.
So I got to ask as well, you guys are all some hockey fans, right?
Yeah.
How nice is it having essentially a facility that you can play hockey in whenever you guys want?
Honestly, we barely go out on the ice here.
Yeah, not a lot, but it comes in use. Like if ever we want to hop on, like there's times like before, like we got to open the shop that morning, like we've hopped on like maybe like 2-3 times.
Worst decision of our life. We're all on the ice at 6 a.m. in the shop after. We're looking at each other, just falling asleep at the desk. Everyone's just cuddled into a little
Even
ball.
when you're getting ready, like, Mom, Thomas Gates, man.
I guess it's cool, not more so of us hopping on ourselves and playing, but just seeing the talent that it brings in. Like there's all the most prestigious hockey tournaments go on here, right? Like they're hosts to them. So we see some kids that are going to be in the NHL. in a few years' times. Like the Connor Bedards of the
There's
world.
that tournament
and
that's
stuff
put on by that big hockey brand that we're not going to mention.
like that.
Yeah, unless they sponsor something.
Yeah, those tournaments pretty cool. We saw people that we loved watching growing up. Like Joe McGillen came in that one time.
Yeah.
Patrick Marleau came in. Like Hall of Famers. We're like, what?
The Sedins are always here too. Yeah, the Abbey Canucks actually practice out of the facility as well. So the Sedins always do one-on-one with any of the prospects that need it. So I think Karn saw Henrik or Daniel.
Both.
Guys chasing him down with smoothies.
Yeah, Karn was chasing them down. Karn
I
was.
gave it to the trainer. I was like, listen, I know you're gonna object, but this is what we use in this, and this, and they're allowed to take it. I know they're allowed to take it. And he's just like, yeah, they are. I'm like, okay, sweet. Get it over to them. Send some shaker cups their way. And then their practice goalie would always take a picture and put it on his story and stuff for like months. Don't know what happened to him, but nice
They
guy.
haven't practiced here in a while.
Yeah, they haven't. Okay, could be that, but yeah, Henrik and Daniel have tried our smoothie, so there you go. Boom. Did they like them? I don't know. We're doing it. Yeah, it's mission accomplished. Hank and Dane kind of know who
Kevin
we are.
Bieksa was here once too.
Yeah, he was here a few weeks ago.
But we weren't here then, right?
We weren't here.
Yeah, I don't think the ranks are really.
I think I would have chased Bieksa down. He was my favorite player.
Bro, I love you, man.
Fucking man.
Sign my jersey.
Yeah.
Just on my face, bro.
I'm not gonna watch that for a year.
I wore this jersey when you guys lost to the Boston Bruins, Game 7.
Oh, you were there, right?
Yeah.
How was that experience? Probably unreal.
Unreal. The guy in front of me actually dumped his beer on Gary Bettman as he was walking out with a cup. It was the best thing ever. Everyone in our section, security comes running. They're trying to grab this guy, and everyone just blockaded security off. They're like, you're not touching him. Nobody likes Bettman. Yeah. Bettman's looking up, beer dripping down his face. I was like, yeah. Yeah. That guy, and what was the other guy? The assistant commissioner?
I don't build. Is Campbell or is it Daly?
The one whose son was playing in the cup final that
Oh,
year.
it's Campbell.
Yeah, Campbell. Yeah, he was walking right behind him, and he was just like, fuck you, buddy. And everyone's just like losing their minds, like ready to jump Gary Bettman.
Good old Vancouver fans. Although this is a lot different this year. I feel like we're a little bit more tamed. Like we're not really talking a lot of shit because we sucked for the past 10 years. Like I'm very careful too. Like I'm pumped. I'm very happy where the team's at, but I'm not like heavy like yeah we're way better than you, like talking shit like we were before, because we know what can happen. It can change really quick.
Oh yeah.
We're just enjoying it.
If they make it to the cup final, you know there's going to be a riot though. If they lose.
Yeah.
Happens every 15 years, right?
Right on the dot. I guess that should be coming up pretty soon.
Backtracking, your sister ran for the Liberals in Mission. Yeah. I know it's not you running, but how was the experience? Because I know you're really close with your sister.
It was cool. Seeing her open up and actually figure herself out and become a confident person, it was eye-opening to me, but just having to go out, deal with people, and the Liberals didn't have a really good reputation at that point, so going out, especially Mission, you go to some of those areas and it's people chasing you down the street like, get the fuck off my property. And yeah, one guy he actually came out of his house with his kid and he was heckling my sister down the street. And his kid was like 3 years old and my sister's like, why would you do that in front of your kid? Like, what type of example are you setting, right? But we saw all kinds of people out there, but you still feel a lot of love from a lot of people, like even people who disagreed with her. They're like, young candidate, lawyer. It's actually someone who doesn't need to be in politics whatsoever. She actually just wanted to get in there to actually bring a change and like do something good, right? From our upbringing, especially a lawyer turning to politics, you're not going to make as much money as you do being a lawyer, right? So for her, it was never about that. She just wanted to get herself out there. And even for everyone who actually showed up, just going door knocking every day and just meeting new people, you wanted to tell a lot of people to fuck off, but other than that, it's eye-opening that people have such different views, but a lot of people are open to a conversation, but you also see the opposite where they're like, yeah, kick rocks, fuck Trudeau.
Fair enough. And what kind of ideas, like, was there a central idea she had for herself or a couple that she wanted to talk a little bit more about, bring to the attention, maybe especially in Mission? Or
honestly, I never really talked to her about it. I left all the politics to the side. For me, it was, even though we didn't agree on our own political ideologies, that's my sister at the end of the day. You you picked your path. You want to fight for the Liberals. You do your thing, right? I'm not going to stand in your way. I'm not going to say, well, I don't support their politics or I don't do this. It's not about you at that point anymore, right? You have someone who supported you through all your bullshit, so now it's time for you to stand up for your family, right? So for me, it was always go ahead with it, do your thing, always be there supporting you. But when it comes to politics, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, let you do your thing.
100%. Do you think that's important too, like carrying over into business? Like you guys all essentially work together, I guess you would say. How important is it, regardless of what's going on in business? You have a shitty day, maybe you messed up something and your dad realizes that maybe somebody else messed something up, to come home at the end of the day. Do you guys have that separation of family and business? Is it kind of integrated itself in, or can you guys separate that when the time's appropriate?
Sometimes it's hard, but I've just got that mentality now of I'm not going to deal with business when it's dinner time or if we're all sitting together as a family. If there is something that comes up that does need to be brought up, obviously we're all on the same page, but other than that, we try and keep it out of the house. Otherwise, I know in myself, I get irritated really fast when everyone just like, oh, what did you do today? It's like I came home to get away from all of that, right? So it is, sometimes it's a curse, but most of the time it's a blessing, because if you are going through a hard time, you got your family and they're just like, you know what? It'll figure itself out. We're all in it together. Let's do it. Have you ever been asked to be someone's Valentine's? It's always a guy asking. Let's change that movement today.
Like maybe like the old MSN days where you're asking like 4 girls. A group message, right?
You change your icon to all red.
Who hits?
Girlfriend, I'm not asking you this year. It's on you. So if you want a Valentine's,
There should be a movement.
Or if you ask him like, yeah, do you want to be mine? Like, man.
no one's asked me yet, so you got a clear shot at it this year. But
For all dudes, or maybe if you just started dating or something, at least say Happy Valentine's Day, because that's where I went wrong. So this is a story. This is the story where I was going.
say Happy Valentine's Day. Get flowers.
When my wife and I just had started dating, our first ever, I guess you could say, Valentine's Day. Before that, it had come up in conversation how big of a sham it was, and she agreed. She's like, yeah, it's a dumb Hallmark holiday, like you don't need one day, blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, this girl's dope, like she gets it, right? Fast forward, I thought that's where I went wrong.
You got.
I got. Valentine's Day comes around, I'm sitting in class. I'm Russell University. It's like an 8 a.m. class. I'm sitting there just hurting, trying to figure out where I can get some coffee, and I guess I forgot to mention Happy Valentine's, because I just like, I don't know what date it is. It's a Tuesday. University student. I was like, yo, whatever, I got class right now. And dude, she was so mad at me. She was so rattled. Like, you at least could have said it, this and that. But I'm like, but you just said this, and now you're saying, that's where I learned.
Don't think.
Yeah, with women, don't think.
Don't think.
Don't think.
Flowers and Happy Valentine's.
Yes.
Bare minimum.
And the things that they say isn't always 100%. This could be a whole other topic. Yes.
No way.
Yes, but for all you guys out there, at least wish your significant other Happy Valentine's. But other than that, it's a fucking sham.
Jazz, do you have any Valentine's Day plans?
Give my mom some flowers. That's about it.
Yeah, get some flowers. Yeah, some chocolate.
Should we get it together, get a deal? Those things are taxed on Wednesdays, bro.
Some flowers.
The gas station ones go up for like $12 for 1 rose, bro.
Do they?
Oh man, yeah, they're expensive.
This is why I'm glad I have a sister, because like, dude, like one time I was gonna go get flowers or whatever, and I was just like, yeah, I'll go get flowers. And I don't know, I was driving by Save On Foods. I was like, let's get them from here. And it was like during like our what the hell was it? Like engagement type thing. Yeah. And Benita stopped me right in my tracks. She's like, you fucking idiot. You're not buying a bundle of flowers to Save On. Go here. I already ordered it. Go pick it up. And yeah, I guess it's always nice to have a sister for those things. Yeah. I'm sure you can speak on that too.
Oh, 100%. She orders the flowers all the time. Yeah, it was Amit's birthday last month, and I was like, 2 days away, I need flowers. She was like, you're an idiot. I was like, yeah, sounds about right.
I still need flowers though.
Yeah, exactly. I still need the flowers.
So where should I go?
We just get the big ones you plant at the ground. Just plant in your backyard. Think of me forever, man.
Yeah, legit.
Just get her a fucking cherry tree or something for the backyard. You'll remember me now. This is forever, not just for 1 week.
Kathy, Connor, you guys are single. How do you guys feel about Valentine's Day? Like, for the single boys out
Perpetually
there?
single.
Yes, but do you feel like girls are a little more lonely this time of the year and trying to get spoiled, or what's your guys' take?
I just talk to myself in the mirror. I don't talk to
Girls scare us.
Girls scare us. Your cooties.
Who pays? Who pays?
Yo, there's been a lot of videos on TikTok and shit like that recently.
the person that asks the other person out, but the dude should be asking the girl.
Have you guys
out,
ever
so.
been on a date or gone anywhere where like split the bill, or she offered to pay for it, or anything, like where you weren't the one paying? Have you ever been through that?
My ego's too high to let that slide. I'm just like, no.
It's almost like more awkward when they're like persistent. It's like, dude, it's like I said I'm gonna pay. It's like, you want me?
So are you paying for jazz on Valentine's Day?
Depends. You the top or the bottom?
I'll keep that a mystery.